So this is Ant-Man. Welcome to the Complete Story series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites for you to understand, then review it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Remember to support the official releases of these books and purchase them at your local store. We open our story in a nice and dark building in the wee hours of the morning. This is Ant-Man breaking into the building. As he explains, being Ant-Man is great, but it really doesn't wow people. Just imagine yourself at a party and one of the guys is like, hey, I'm an immortal god that controls thunder. And another guy's like, hey, I'm the mutant king of Atlantis. And then the woman turns to you and you say, I can make myself really small and talk to ants. I'm also currently divorced. As he's explaining his current situation to you though, he shrinks down to the size of, you guessed it, an ant, and he sneaks around the computer, turning off the cameras and gassing the guard that's there. He then walks into a hallway filled to the max with security lasers. Easy fix for Ant-Man though, as he shrinks down and he rides ants through the lasers. Once they drop him off on the other side, he turns to his little friend. Good job, Chuck Barris. Naming them is important because it shows the employees that you value them. He thinks to himself as he pets the ant. But as he gets deeper into the building, we start to see the things that this gentleman owns, like a big TV and an Iron Man helmet. Wait, we should probably back up this story just a little. Scott Lang used to be a really good thief until he got caught. This ended his marriage, so when he got out of prison, he swore that he would give up his life of crime. That is, until his daughter got really sick with a heart condition. So he found the greatest heart surgeon in the world and he discovered that she could help his daughter. But she was being held hostage by a man named Darren Cross because he was kidnapping homeless people to have their hearts removed and placed into his own chest. Long story. So Scott Lang broke into the home of Hank Pym and stole the Ant-Man getup so that he could break into Darren Cross's facility, defeat him, and rescue the doctor. She in turn saved his daughter. After that, Hank Pym let him keep the outfit, so Scott joined the Avengers, and then he joined the Fantastic Four a few times. He also died at one point, but that's another long story. And now, well, he's applying for a job with Tony Stark. After showing up in the Ant-Man costume because he didn't have any other clothes, printing his resume double-sided on a single piece of paper, and then stumbling over his own name, Tony walked into the interview to save him. It's fine, Scott, just come with me. You don't need the interview, because you won't be getting the job. Wait, what? Scott asks him. The interview was a formality to avoid legal issues, Scott. You've been an Avenger, a member of the Fantastic Four, and done countless other things. But none of it stuck. Because you flake out and you leave. I need someone that I can depend on, someone that I can trust. Do you seriously think that you can do that? Tony, please, take my word for it, I need this. Fine, you're lucky that I'm a sucker for a second chance story, or a 17th chance in your case. I'm holding a competition tomorrow for the candidates for the job. Be there and we'll see how you do. But I'm not betting on you. Scott walks away thinking how stupid this is. This is Tony Stark, and he's lecturing Scott about sticking to things? Oh hi, I'm Tony Stark, and I ran shields into the ground, and I kinda got Captain America killed. Oops, better go to outer space where they hate me also. So while griping to himself about how much of a jerk Tony is, Scott heads home to see his daughter, Cassie Lang. She is his whole life. He loves the time that he gets to spend with her, and would do anything just to get more time with her. And if you're wondering why, as he puts it, his kid is just cooler than everybody else's. But his ex-wife, she is not cool. She yells at Scott for picking up Cassie from school because he didn't clear going to get her with his ex-wife, but then he tries to argue that he should be allowed to visit her. Well, his ex-wife comes back with the argument that Scott doesn't even have an apartment, just some weird studio situation. So he tells her, well, he'll just shrink down Cassie with him. But his ex-wife stops him there. No more shrinking. How could you even show up in that costume after everything you put Cassie through? And that new job you said you're getting with Stark, you don't think that that's gonna follow you home? I'm not even gonna let you drag Cassie into your messes anymore, Scott. So Scott shows up for the big trial that Tony has set forth, and automatically, he feels defeated. Some whiz kid is half his age, another guy's a genius, and the new Beetle that's supposed to be a villain. The test is simple, to have each candidate get through killer drones, motion sensors, and vibranium reinforced walls. And once they get through all of that, they need to hack an old computer. All three of the other candidates fail at the computer, so Tony looks to Scott and he says, hey Scott, show the kids how it's done. Scott steps forward, looks at the screen, and he uses his ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. He shrinks down his stomach, forcing himself to vomit and fake being sick. Yeah, that did it. So Tony looks at his candidates and he tells them all that he's very disappointed, so he's gonna have them all try again tomorrow. That's how we get to the start of this story, when he's breaking into Tony Stark's penthouse apartment. Scott needs this job so that he can take care of Cassie, but he won't be able to hack into that computer tomorrow, not without a little help. So he's breaking into Tony's penthouse so that he can hack the computer and get the codes before anybody. This way tomorrow, he'll just be the king of the competition. But just as he begins to hack into the computer with his tiny little hacking device, I think it was built for ants, the door swings open and in walks Tony Stark. And Beetle? Oh man, she must be trying to do the same thing, he thinks to himself. So he hops down, letting his little wireless hacking device do its thing, when suddenly, the hacking device says congratulations. Clapping can then be heard from the computer and confetti goes off in Tony Stark's bedroom. At this point, we're going to jump ahead a few minutes, with Scott Lang apologizing to Tony about breaking into his apartment. But as Tony explains, Scott won because that was the test. The one yesterday was purposely unbeatable. He just wanted to see who had the ability to break into his personal penthouse and crack it here in his house. Scott is now the new head of security for Stark Industries. Tony explains that this penthouse, the cars related to it, and all the money are now Scott's, all a sign-on bonus. But that's when they both realize that Beetle is still in the room, and as she explains, she wasn't trying to get the job. She's a hired assassin here to kill Tony! Scott sees her pull out the gun, but he realizes that this is his chance, so he shrinks down, jumps into the barrel of her gun, and he pulls out the wires, breaking it. Way to earn that sign-on bonus, Scott, Tony says as he puts on his suit and begins to chase down Beetle. I got it from here. Scott is so excited the next day, and the first thing he does is head over to tell Cassie about his wonderful new job and apartment. He did it! He has a stable income for his daughter! But when he gets to her place, his ex-wife tells him Cass left. Scott is in shock. What's going on? We're moving, Scott. We're going to Miami. You can't do this! I have visitation rights! I decided it yesterday when you showed up in that costume again. I need to keep her away from that costume life. I need to move her away from all of this superhero stuff that happens in New York. Scott argues about this, but there really isn't anything he can do. This job with Stark can change everything, and it's here in New York. The city where aliens attack, people end up in other dimensions, gang wars break out, and all this stuff is probably affecting Cassie's grades. Should he stay here and make all of this money and send it to her? Or should he be her friend and be there for her as she grows up? It's time to make a decision. Life in the big leagues, money, cars, women, superhero stuff, or fights with the ex-wife and potentially messing up his daughter's life. There's really only one choice here, isn't there? The next day, Tony begins to freak out on his phone, demanding to know where Ant-Man is. He's supposed to be announcing his new head of security in 5 minutes, and there is no Scott Lang here. Because, where is he? He's stowing away in a backpack on its way to Miami. That night, in the Miami heat, Ant-Man buys a Tony Stark Sunrise apartment toy, and he picks up Cass. The two of them shrink down into his new house on the top of a roof, and they watch the Hunger Games ripoff Battle Royale on her phone together. Because Scott can't leave his daughter behind. She's the greatest kid ever. Better than yours. This is the start of an awesome 5-issue run of comics that ended due to Secret Wars. We've decided to not go forward with the series right now because I felt that this was a great place to leave the story for now. And if you guys enjoy it, give this video likes and we'll come back probably next week or the week after with the rest of the Ant-Man issues 2 through 5. Or you can just go buy the trade Second Chance Man. Thank you for joining us for this video today, and I hope it explains a few things for you and it helps you understand Scott Lang as a character. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Comicstorian and check out these other videos, you just might like them. I'm Benny for Comicstorian, and I will see you guys next time right here.